Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching this transmission. 'Tis I, Mike Martins, bringing you another action-packed edition of Trends in the Housing Market. I want to thank everyone that's joining me from the English-speaking world, from Auckland, New Zealand, to Sydney, Australia, north to Melbourne, and west to Perth, and north to London, and then Edinburgh and Dublin, and Belfast, across the coast to Canada, from Toronto to Vancouver, and from Seattle to Los Angeles to Miami Beach to New York. It is Trends in the Housing Market, and I want to thank everybody for joining me on tonight's show. Man, comments are flowing right now. We got Owen in the house. First person to join tonight, man. Off the hook, my man Owen. I hope Owen's coming to help me this summer. I really need some electrical work done on my house, and I don't trust anybody but Owen. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple electricians in town, but I need Owen. Owen's the only guy. What else is going on here? Yeah, lots going on, actually. Lots going down. Lots brewing in the housing market. I actually have 5 different pages of tabs open. We're going to have to hit a bunch of headlines tonight because there's a lot happening right now in the English-speaking world. So if you're speaking English and your country's official language is English, watch out, because you are in a housing strife right now. And you're probably wondering, well, Mike, I'm homeless. Well, Mike, I'm couch surfing. Well, Mike, you know what? I don't own. Yeah, but it's going to affect every English-speaking person in every English-speaking country. This is the biggest thing that's going to affect every human being in every English-speaking country. Believe you me, it is. This is the big one. You ever watch Sanford and Son? When Fred Sanford, Elizabeth, this is the big one. This is the big one. And then I've been prophesizing and talking and preaching about this for many years now. So let's do a quick plug here. Let's get some Ric Flair in the house. Now, before we kick it off, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel here for all kinds of stuff. Trends in the housing market here, back to back every week. Tons of episodes, and you can even forecast some of the stuff I was predicting in the show and callers predicted that were coming up in the show, upcoming events and stuff. There's Mike in the Night right here. Mike in the Night. Don't forget to join us Saturday nights where we open up political, scientific, whatever you want to talk about, basically. Mike in the Night. And housing crisis. So what do we cover this week on housing crisis before trends? Australia weekly housing wrap up. I go into several topics right now because there's just so much happening right now. In Australia, it's phenomenal, right? And a lot of these countries kind of coincide with each other when you start seeing the big domino effect and how there's a new thing that's happening, and it's right here. I'm going to get to it right now. So 416 down, 905 up. That's what it's saying in one of the articles, that the 416, the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, not Grand Theft Auto. Pre-sale buyers no longer allowed to flip condos. That's the main one. In the city of Vancouver, there's a condo. There's a condo that's a luxurious downtown Vancouver condo that's for sale. There were pre-builts. Everyone pre-built, I think it was 2014. The condo is officially finished. And that's it. You cannot flip that condo. You got to secure the rest of the financing before you could sell it now. You can't flip that condo no more. Oh, no, you can't. So there it is. Pre-sale buyers no longer allowed to flip condos. This is a big one, and this might happen, I think, in Australia and New Zealand. I could see London pulling something like this too. And would you wait till next year to buy? That was from 2 days ago, where a lot of people, I got the article open for you guys that we could cover. Australia, UK, USA housing comparison crash. And this one's from 6 days ago. Why is the media hiding the housing truth? This is only 35 seconds long, but the message is powerful. So don't forget to get to my channel and browse it and check things out. And don't forget, I promised I'm going to do this today, guys, so nobody freak out. We're going to go to community. If you want to go in and vote now, go ahead. Go to the community section on my channel, and we're going to cover this real quick here. Oh, this is kind of funny. There's some comments on this. This is a starter home in 1955. Family's got a starter home there. And a starter home in 2019. And there's a guy there in front of a van. It's like, yeah, there's my starter home. And then someone in the comments just made me laugh. Evan, over here with this teddy bear guy, says, geez, that's a big van. He must be a doctor or something. So that's Yeah, that's it right there. You must be a plastic surgeon, like top of the line, Elizabeth Taylor client. You know what I mean? Okay. All right. So then let me get to my point here, to what I was talking about. All right. Here we go. This is important. It's got 204 votes, and it says, how much down percentage-wise is housing in your area? Explain location. I will read the results on trends in the housing market. So this is it. Kevin Thompson's back, guys. He went to Hawaii. Okay, so here it is. 10%, 10 votes of 10% were 29% voted on 10% down. 29% voted on 20% down. 30% voted 6% voted 30% down. 13% voted 40% down. And then the last one was, what the hell are you talking about? Housing is going to the moon. 23% of the people voted for that one. So there it is there. Oh, Kevin Thompson went to Mexico. Okay, so let's go over all the comments here. So these are the comments that I got from the ground. Calgary is dying thanks to 3 levels of incompetent socialist government and their global warming BS. So that's from Gordy. Then Han says, Melbourne, Australia, we are told housing is down 10% in the news, but I went to so many auctions recently. Prices seem the same. I calculated compared a year ago. Prices haven't gone down. It's insane. I don't have a hope. Government is launching new initiatives to prop the housing market, and RBA wants to cut interest rates, so any crash will be delayed for a few more years. That is a big one. That is a big one from Han Solo down in, I'm joking, Han Bulban in Melbourne. Low roller scratcher, I can't afford to buy a house. And Andrew Miller says 40% South Australia, third largest city in Whyalla, 30% Roxby Downs, also township for the largest mine in the state, the Olympic Dam. And Jenison Beach, Stewart, Florida, still going strong. And then we got Maxine saying Auckland, New Zealand. And then we got Showbiz. Sean says up 10% from last year for my $600K downtown condo in Toronto. Cotton Candy Beard Gary says less for sale, but what is for sale is still high. Only has to come down about 10% in Surrey and not as much as it has in downtown Vancouver. Then Her Money, Her Purpose says Melbourne, Australia. Then VK says Windsor, Ontario since 2008. Prices have gone up 2 to 2.5 times. So if a house was $160, it is $350 now. So if you can go buy up more than 100%, it can come down 40%. Okay. Robert Walker in Brisbane says, and many postcodes in Brisbane are holding up fairly well so far. I believe it is some of the more expensive areas are down. More and more houses are going up for sale, so I would expect the prices to continue to drop. Thanks. And then Malibu 340 says Auckland is still in a building frenzy, and the government is still saying that we don't have enough housing. Even where you look, there is a section being created and housing is being built. We can't plan to change in Auckland a few years back, allowing interest suburb sections to be smaller and higher density. Homes to be built. That stock is coming on the market now in large numbers. It's a joke. We don't have enough homes, and the government is either clueless or knows darn well we have enough, but it's just unaffordable. Unaffordability is just not there right now, guys. I'm going with the latter. The SHF scenario will happen soon, and if we get a rise in rates, it will be SHF, and the tornado storm for good measure. 4% down in Auckland since last year. Dennis saying, I reckon Sydney East 15 to 20%. I have moved to the Gold Coast in 2017 for quality of life. David McKay saying Sutherland Shire in Sydney is off by 20 points plus. It's up by 20 points. Is off by 20% plus. Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is from Jeff. Halifax, Nova Scotia, my last assessed value was up. There is no reason for it other than the city is wanting more tax revenue. Sale prices seem the same as last year. So, yeah. Ralph White, I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina area. Housing here is propped up by a large military base and pretty strong industrial presence. I don't believe we are a representative of a larger real estate picture. 4% year-over-year increase in this past quarter. Not being said, the median house price is only around $131,000. Not a lot of millionaires running up the prices. FV says 20% down in Windsor, Essex County, ND, Chatham, and Kent. And then 456 saying 13.5% down in Vancouver, West End. Timothy Kernock saying, my area is up 13% in the last 12 months. I bought an old mining town. I expect it might go up a lot, stay the same. Either way, I win. I live in the outback in Queensland. Then Farmer's Daughter says, the speculators are in the market as California are buying, but California is down. I won't say where, as I hate the influx of loony leftists with their purple hair and nose rings. Melbourne, Australia. Auckland. If it goes down further, they'll just print more money, says National Capitalist. And we got Oshawa's falling apart. GM is done, says K-Pax. And then World Forum Down Under says Sydney, Australia. Some suburbs are 16%, yet some are down by 40%. And Tina Ryan says Newcastle in Australia is the second biggest city in New South Wales. It's on the coast and absolutely beautiful, but the extract from local Newcastle newspaper, people I know are trying to sell a house, dropped the price by over 5%. Quote, the housing market across the Newcastle and Lake Macquarie local government areas was one of the weakest performers among the regional towns and cities across Australia last year. So there's lots to read here, guys. I want to thank everyone for commenting on here. I really appreciate it, and went out to vote how much percentage is down in your area. We had a total of 204 votes, and I want to thank everyone for commenting on this poll that I ran here under my community. So guys, don't forget to join and vote and pull in and give us your feedback. And all right, let's get to our first area. Let's get to our first order of business here. Oh, man. We got all kinds going on, so I'm going to start pounding out the headlines. I want to thank Gary Medeiros. Gary Medeiros is in the comment section. Kevin Thompson in the comment section. Low Roller Scratcher, hi, how you doing? Owen, hey, Gary, lifetime, no debtor. Yeah, Owen's smart. Real Kevin Thompson says, woo, Bitcoin making a comeback, says Low Roll Scratcher. It sure is. Tune into AMTV because it's going to the moon. Okay, guys, we got 33 people watching. Thank you so much for tuning in for Trends in the Housing Market. And we'll do some shout-outs later from a lot of messages I've been getting. So, Canadian real estate prices down 7% from peak, but still 52% above the G7 peers. What are they talking about? Well, the G7 peers. Here's our real estate index of Canadian real estate prices for across Canada. Look at that. Holy. Everything started happening around 2014, 2015 when I started making my video. Well, way before when I started making my videos. But then this is when the poop hit the fan in 2017. Canadian real estate prices are over 52% higher than the rest of the G7 peers. So here it is. I wanted to show this to you guys. So here we go. Canada is red. Holy max! Germany is this one here. Okay. Then you have France. Then you have UK, Italy. That's Italy. Yeah, that's Italy. And then there's... So Italy's on a downtrend right now. So look at all this. And then look at Canada. And then the Japan and the United States of America. Look at Canada. Holy smokes. That is a big deal, people. And people need to understand how big of a deal it is. Chinese real estate investors wary of Vancouver head to Toronto. So this is the same story I said in 2017 when Vancouver implemented the foreign buyers tax, and I told you guys, I'm going to tell you guys what's going to happen. The people are going to flee to Toronto, and the smart people are going to go south to Seattle. And I made that video when they implemented the foreign buyers tax in Vancouver. So it looks like Toronto might see some increases, but I don't know how much. But it says here, Chinese real estate investors wary of Vancouver heading to Toronto. This is the survey. This is the video I covered already on my channel. 56% of Canadians will wait till next year to buy a home, says survey. It's because 56% of Canadians right now that don't own or are not in the market or on the market to buy but don't own, guess what? It's out of reach. It's not like they don't want to buy a house. It's like it's not that people don't want to have a house. It's just, it's too expensive. So Chinese real estate investors wary of Vancouver head to Toronto. So let's go to this article here. This is very important because they're foreshadowing something big here. And with them looking to raise rates, lower rates.
With sales posting their slowest March since 1986. Greg Bunnell is with us for more on this. You might not have been alive then. I don't want to know. I don't want to know if you were not. Never mind.
You know where you have to start these, right? Anytime you give like a number in the past, we're talking about. So sales are down 46% below the 10-year March average. So we're not just talking about year over year. We're talking about the average for 10 years in March. And that, of course, being the lowest since 1986. And the local real estate board squarely putting the blame on all of the policy moves we've seen in the last several years, basically saying that these demand side measures, and that's what it's all been about. The policy's been about taking demand back out of the market. So many have argued it should be a supply solution, saying you're only sidelining potential home buyers in the short term, and they fear that as that demand gets pent up, there's going to be another disruptive cycle in Vancouver. So it seems to be, reading between the lines on this, and actually during the Real Economy, I'm going to talk to a local realtor at this idea that the board is arguing all you're doing is kicking the can down the road and things are going to get ugly if we can't figure this out.
Wow, these people take a lot of lingo from my channel. Kicking the can down the road. If you've been watching my channel for years, you know I've been saying that for years. It's the perfect storm. Okay, Chinese investment in Vancouver commercial property from companies such as Airbang Insurance Company Co. has slumped amid a flood of regulations. The investors are looking to Toronto instead! So they're going to be going, just like 2 years ago in 2017 when I was reading that article outside on a piece of paper saying that Chinese investors are heading to Toronto now that they got the foreign buyers tax on. 2-3 weeks later, after the foreign buyers tax was implemented in Vancouver, boom, they all went to Toronto, and the smart ones went down to Seattle. Asian investment in Vancouver fell almost $350 million in 2018, a drop from the $1 billion plus that hit the market in each of the 2 prior years, according to the data from CBRE Lots. In contrast, Toronto took a $526 million of Asian investment last year, up slightly from 2017, including $256 million purchase of an office building by a private Chinese investor, Tigra Vista Inc. Chinese investors are regretting globally following the government restrictions on capital outflows in 2016. In Vancouver, Asian investment dropped off even more last year due to the part of series of new taxes instituted by the government, including a speculation and wealth tax on homes. The province has also proposed a bill to expose the hidden landowners, both residential. Oh my God, we're going to find out who actually owns a house. Wow, I thought this would have been in law since the time of Jesus Christ or Moses. How do you not know who owns a house? I'm not going to go there. A bill to expose hidden landowners. Well, try being a hidden landowner in Thailand or China or Japan. You go try. You go try. Both residential and commercial, and failure to disclose may result in a $100,000 or 15% of the property assessed value. Whichever is greater is driving away some investors. Ho focuses on bringing new Asian capital to North America cities, and while 90% of the business was in Vancouver last year, he predicts the city may account for only a fraction of the foreign capital this year, with more deals done in Toronto. Toronto's going to be a new Asian capital, people. In total, Asian capital flows are projected to take up... I keep saying Asian. It's like, no, it's Chinese. Japanese, no. A lot of them don't leave Japan. Korean... I don't think so. Filipino? I don't think so. So, more deals done in Toronto. In total, Asian capital flows are projected to to take up 20% of Vancouver's commercial market, said Vancouver-based CBRE broker Tony, compared to over 25% in the past 3 years. Last month, Blackstone Group, Hudson Pacific, teamed up by Enbang Bentel Center in Vancouver. The Chinese insurance firm has been ramping up efforts to offload assets after being temporarily seized by the nation's regulator. Man. Leaping eastward in Vancouver, Chinese investment had always been predicted on land, placing bets on land. Whether it's old shopping centers or office buildings, even they see underlying developments and land value. Bal Atwal, a principal at brokerage firm, said they're looking to Toronto because they're seeing a better arbitrage on the way they are here. Asian investors who previously had marginal interest in looking east of Vancouver have given the flood of opportunities and now being forced to diversify their holdings to cater to the growing demand. CBRE is planning to shift more of its focus on bringing Asian investors to Toronto. They did the same thing in Seattle, Washington. They made these pamphlets, all in Chinese. They would fly to China and bring investors over to Seattle. And look what happened to Seattle. If you've been following this channel, you know what's happened with the Washington state. Blame Washington and go see what's going on. Bringing Asian investors to Toronto, which is a booming tech and financial services fueled by a flood of immigrants and millennials. That spells money because young people have to consume their growing families, Ho said. But no one's having families. Well, not Canadians, that is. That's a huge advantage against the Vancouver market, which is more of a retirement market. So that's it. More Chinese investors looking to move east to Toronto to monopolize on the less stringent laws that were put into place in Vancouver. So they're looking, it says here, to make a new Asian northern capital, and Toronto is going to be the new, well, not Asian, Chinese northern capital. So my doorbell's ringing. I have no idea who it is. So let's keep going here. Alberta Liberals pitch $750 to help displace renters. Party would legislate landlords to provide financial support in emergencies. Under the Alberta Liberal Party government, landlords will give $750 to each of their renters displaced by building disaster. So what's happening is a lot of landlords are leaving a lot of people stranded. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are stranded right now, and they get, evicted. And a lot of them are having a really tough time finding a place. So it looks like the government will be pitching in. It looks like there's going to be other people helping. So there's someone just smashing my door in right now. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what to tell you guys, but someone's really going to smash my door in here. Okay. Ottawa's $1.3 billion investment is critically urgent to fix Toronto's affordable housing. So, who's going to be left to hang? That's the question. Financial relief from the federal Liberal government is critically urgent in helping to fix Toronto's decade-long problem of crumble affordable housing stock and will allow Toronto Communities Housing, TCH, to deliver the best possible space for tenants, the head of the organization says. Kevin Marshman, who recently assumed the THC's top job, claims $1.3 billion funding infusion will ensure residents can live safely and securely. So again, affordable housing problems all across Canada, and it's nothing new. Justin Peters in the house. 3MM4 says Chinese families stay tight. Lump income. Brianna Matthews, Mike, I thought China is capping on outgoing money in August. Well, here's the deal with this article. It's not people coming from China. It's actually people that are in Canada that have already flipped and shadow flipped properties 30, 40 times and cleaned money already and have millions and billions to invest. So they take their money and they bring it now to Toronto to make a new Asian capital, Chinese capital of the North, is what it's saying. It's saying it right here. So I'm not making this up. So that's something people need to keep in mind. So Ottawa's having problem. Globe and Mail could go to hell. Okay, so Montreal. Even in Montreal, it's becoming harder to find an apartment. Residents tell Vice that landlords are cracking down on students, families, and immigrants looking for affordable housing. Do you think you have everything to get your hands on an apartment in Montreal? Think twice. With serious shortage of rental housing affecting the city, many renters say owners are drastically more discriminative when choosing their tenants. After hearing shady stories from several people looking for an apartment around me, I decided to see if the phenomena was really widespread or just anecdotal. I posted an ad on Kijiji asking people who thought they had been discriminated against by owners to send me an email. I didn't expect much, but suddenly the email box exploded. 30 testimonies of people aged 20 to 35, exasperated. The end of resource fell in my inbox. The ad was nearly 3,000 times in just was read 3,000 times in just 2 days. So there's a big problem happening, guys. There's a lot of people that are not getting the place, the places that they're applying for to rent. So I'll give you my experience. I have a friend of mine who works in, I have no idea who that was. I have a friend of mine that's actually, he's like a geologist working with seismic movements in the ground, and he works for governments, reading seismic movements and stuff with earthquakes. I don't know. So he went to Beijing, but he went to Beijing and went outside of Beijing to work, to do some seismic readings. Okay, he gets called on these bizarre locations, right? He gets out there, he sets up, he's ready to go. He brings his luggage, some equipment or whatever. And he goes to a rental agency that he was recommended in China. So he goes to the rental agency to rent. And this guy's Caucasian. This guy is Canadian Irish, I think, or Canadian Scottish, one of the two. I can't remember exactly, but he's a good friend. We hit and miss once in a while on Facebook, and we used to be tight on the coast. But anyways, he went to the rental agency to say, hi, I would like to rent an apartment, preferably with 2 bedrooms for 4 months so I could do my work. I'm working on here with a government grant. Okay, sir, we'll give you an apartment, but we have to call the owners to make sure that they know they're renting out to a foreigner. So he was shocked. He was like, wait a minute. In China, apparently, if this is what he told me, if you want to rent an apartment and you're a foreigner, they have to get permission from the owners, the rental agency. Even though they want to rent it out and make their money, they need permission from the owners. So he stayed 3 days in that office looking for a place to rent. Every place they called for him, all denied him because he was an outsider and a foreigner, and they don't rent. Really tough. So he packed up his bags and he left. He went to Japan, where he was working for many, many years. So he went back to Japan. And he's also in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver doing work on seismic readings and stuff. I don't know, earthquake stuff, geology stuff. I don't know what it is. But he wasn't allowed to rent in China because he was a foreigner. And a lot of that is being brought over now to our shores, where I read the article where there was a building in Richmond and they wanted to Airbnb it. They wanted to Airbnb the apartment, but when they found out that the guy that was renting the apartment was black, they told him that he wasn't allowed in the building. And I read that article for you guys, and that was in Richmond, BC. Right? So Charlie Brown says that's the same in Japan. They discriminate against people renting for 6 to 12 months. Some places are better than others, yet you can buy a place outright in Japan easy. Okay, Charlie Brown, Mike, did you see the news of the bloke sold some farmland to people in the middle of Australia for $60 million? Oh, I believe it. I believe it. All right, so that's it. This is it. This is what's happening right now. People getting a really tough time finding rental properties, and rentals in Montreal is going through the roof, and it's going to make it tough for anybody trying to get in the rental market in Montreal. And Montreal, Canada's bright spot in the struggling housing market So housing in Montreal, again, is going through the roof. And right now they're seeing a massive 60% increase in foreign students in Montreal over the past 5 years, augmented the shifting of rental market. So there's a lot of foreign students coming in, and 60% increase in foreign students. So I don't know if you remember the article I was reading about in Ireland, how the Irish people are setting up accommodation for students from China to come in. So that's what they're doing. And because I don't know a lot of people right now that could go abroad to study anymore, because it's getting very expensive. So much controversy surrounding the housing market. It's not even a joke. All right, we're done with that. Let's move on. Let's get a little Ric Flair woo going on here. Where's that? Come on, Mike. So at the beginning of the show, I read all the comments that I got on that graph that everybody voted. Thanks for voting. And yeah, baby. Okay, so let's move on. All right, what do we got next to throw up here? All right, where are we? Seattle says 5,700 people got out of homelessness last year. Why? Because they left the state. So it's getting really bad, really bad. Seattle's got all these tent cities everywhere, and it's growing out of control. That they're asking the big tech giants to chip in and help with the housing affordability levels. Washoe County's housing market is one of the least affordable in the U.S. So Washoe County's housing market is ranked among the least affordable in the nation. Something likely won't come as a surprise to anyone who has tried to buy a house in Reno during the past few years. Where am I talking, people? Reno, Nevada. So the example, the houses went from $325,000 to $386,000 for the average median home. Who are buying these houses? No, it's not Chinese investors. It's Californian knows how to party. California knows how to party. So Californians are moving out of their state and moving east. Reno, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Utah, all those. Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's all Californians moving east and leaving an unaffordable state. What counties in each state have the most expensive housing market? Check this list. We actually covered this. So medium house. So Alabama right now is the median house value is one of the highest right now. It's $221,000. Let me see if I have anything here that we could say. San Francisco is 1.272 million. Colorado's going up. Holy crap! Colorado went up big time. 662,000. That's where Lord Humongous lives. His house went up to 440 and he sold it. He should have held it, man. Connecticut, 435. Idaho, Blaine County. Wow, that's up high, pretty high. 429. Where else we got here? Kansas, Johnson County, 280,000 in Johnson County. Holy, I still remember when the average house in Johnson County was like 150. Holy smokes, that's a lot of cash. Michigan, Washtenaw County, 285. Carver County, 344. Mississippi, 235,000. Oh, that's in Madison County too. I thought it would have been lower than 230. I thought it would have been around 195 still. Yeah, housing is starting to go up in the States. Here it is. Washoe County, 379. It's the housing costs versus mortgage payments versus income. $379,000. Hey, don't you worry. The median household price is $58,000 US. That's about 70,000 Canadian. Don't worry, people living in Nevada, Washoe County. You don't panic because people bought $2 million homes on that kind of income. So don't you worry. Paying $379 is not too bad if you're making 60 large a year. Wow. North Dakota went up. It's at 269,000. Delaware County's 329. Oklahoma, wow, went up to 174. You could back 2-3 years ago, you could pick something up in Oklahoma for under 100,000, something decent. Wow. South Carolina, Charleston County, 353. Wow. That's a lot of money, man, in those places. But don't you worry, people in Charleston County. People with your income in Sydney paid $1 million for a house, and it doesn't even look like this one in the picture. So don't you worry. Yeah. Living with 2 roommates is a dump. Hawaii is too expensive to be paradise for teachers. So now we're going into professionals, teachers, and doctors, surgeons, dentists. Living in Hawaii, guess what? Have 3 roommates. And couples. Living with 2 roommates in a dump. Hawaii is too expensive to be paradise for teachers. California native became an educator through Teach for America in Oklahoma, then shipped off to Aloha State. He now teaches 8th grade science and spends the rest of his time surfing. Playing while suffering is right. Playing volleyball, enjoying the natural splendor of the islands. There is just one problem. Teaching in paradise became too expensive. I'm 31 years old, living with 2 roommates in a damp place. Stark said, I have almost no savings. I want to stay and get a home, but it's looking more and more like it's not possible. So if you thought, getting a professional job in the public sector will be enough to get you, no. Government work is nowhere near. State plunged by rising rent costs. So here are the states here in the cities where rent's going up right across the United States here. Rents are going up. There's some of them 26% increase in rent. Wow. Huge rent increases across the United States, guys. Please make plans before you do leave your state and want to exodus California, for example, or Oregon or Washington State. There's people leaving in mass numbers. Restore my neighborhood. One Cascadians take over on legalizing housing. Rental legalizing housing. A move back filled with young families. So in Oregon, people are moving to smaller towns and moving in. Like my town is all young families. It's all young families. Yeah, Demise Media, Demise, are you available, buddy? Can I get you on the show, buddy? Can you turn on your Skype, bud? Turn on your Skype. I haven't had you on in a while, man. Can you turn on your Skype, Demise? I gotta get it. He's down in San Jose. He's turning on his Skype. Okay, I'm gonna give him a call. I'm gonna see what he's up to. Maybe we could see some visual and see what he look like for people that haven't seen what he looked like. I am covering California right now, and he is in California right now. And please give me 5 minutes. Yeah, no problem, buddy. So California has jobs, but not enough houses. And this is very true. We all know this.
Dreaming of that California lifestyle? Well, you better be saving.
The reason our poverty rate is high, or the highest in the country, is the cost of housing.
The number of people in California who can afford to buy a home continues to fall.
The median home price in California is $519,000, while the national median is $275,000. Between January 2012 and 2019, the average list price for home buyers rose about 85%. The median home price in the United States only rose about 53% in the same time frame. Today, a mere 54% of Californians are homeowners. Only New York State had a lower rate. So what's going on here? California has been a hotspot in the country's growing job market. Between 2010 and 2018, more than 29,000 jobs were added each month. That adds up to around 3 million jobs in less than a decade. Meanwhile, the pace of new housing construction hasn't kept up. Between 2010 and 2017, California issued about 635,000 new housing permits, and that's well under the state's projected housing needs. This contrast is particularly stark in the Bay Area, where the average home value in certain counties has surpassed $1 million.
All these high-income workers now who want to own homes, but there's just simply not enough housing out there for them to buy. And so unfortunately what you've seen happen is that housing has ended up going to the highest bidder.
So why were so few homes being built in California? For starters, it's not cheap to build there. Homes in California's coastal metros are 3 times more expensive to build than in the rest of the country. The cost of labor, land, material, and government fees are all very high in California. California also has more comprehensive building standards, which can add to costs and bog down high in California. California also has more
Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, I was mentioning that apartments are around $2,395, so $2,400 to round it off.
Wow. For a 1-bedroom, 1 bath?
1 bedroom, 1 bath, in a predominantly H-1B visa area. So these communities are like a lot of foreigners from India.
Wow. Okay. Oh, yeah. You guys couldn't hear me earlier. Sorry. Let me say this again. We got Demise Music and Entertainment here. Don't forget to subscribe to his channel. He's broadcasting live from California on the ground, and he's watching the housing situation down there for us. So a 1-bedroom is $2,100 a month?
No, it's $2,400 a month.
And you say they're by HB1 visas, a lot of people from India.
Yeah, so the area in which I'm talking about, hold on one second, Mike. Ooh, come here. So the area I'm talking about is very close to where my mom lives. And this area is very close to the Cisco, which is a company in Milpitas, California. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people make a lot of good money out there. So the apartments are going to be, very convenient for these people and convenient for myself and my girlfriend. But we looked online, and a 1-bedroom, 1 bath is $2,395.
So $2,400 a month for rent. This is not Mexican pesos.
No, this is U.S. money. This is American money, and it's I looked at it and I didn't even get mad. I was just laughing to myself like, wow, this is astronomical. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was a no-go.
Oh, God. That is not good, because I'm looking at Cisco jobs right now, postings for Cisco. Software test engineer is getting $126,000 a year. An architect's getting $155,000. A support engineer is getting $120,000. A project manager $120,000. IT engineer $136,000. Project manager. So they do pay well. You're not lying. I mean,
yeah,
100%.
They pay well. They pay well, and that's why a lot of these people that work in these fields, I respect that. But at the same time, there's no room. There's no way that someone that's working, maybe be a garbage man, or someone that's working in hospitality.
Oh, even a doctor. I don't think a doctor makes enough.
A nurse, yeah.
Yeah, they don't make enough. So, do you see an end in sight? I mean, yeah, they're gonna. We were just watching that video on California right here.
Yeah, I like that. I was watching it too.
And okay, fine, they're adding jobs, but no one could get housing.
It's insane, Mike. I mean, the houses you already saw. Remember, a couple months back in Mountain View, they're like $2 million
for a bungalow.
San Jose, there's a couple homes that are like 3-4 bedroom, $1.5 million.
That's a lot of cake, dude. Like, I mean, you really need to make at least $150K a year to maintain, just to maintain, not to pay off. You're not going to pay that off. You could maintain it.
Well, the thing that I was thinking about that can make sense is that there are people that can afford it, quote unquote afford it, but they probably sold their freaking $1 million house in the Bay Area and are putting literally like most of that into another $1 million house.
So there's no first-time buyers going into the market like yourself?
Not here. I mean, I don't think so. And everyone else that is first-time is out of state now. So my father, for instance, he's 46, whatever, and he's putting his first down payment on a house in Reno, Nevada.
I just spoke about Reno. Did you see that?
No, I just got on right now, Mike.
Right here. Reno, Nevada housing is blowing up right now. One of the most expensive Washoe, is he in Washoe County, Reno?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, housing market is one of the least affordable in the United States.
He had to spend, it's a $500,000 that he got a brand new house for out there.
Wow. And what did he sell in California? Did he sell something in California to buy this one? No?
No, this is his first time. He was renting out here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm proud of you.
Wow. So he left to Reno. He went to this one we were just talking about right now. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I mean, his parents, my grandparents, they lived in the Reno area for about, let's say, 15 years now.
Okay.
And they sold their house as well in Fernley, Nevada. And then they bought one in Reno as well so they could live next to each other. And their house sold within one day.
Yeah.
And Fernley is 30 minutes outside of Reno, and it's even more desolate and deserty, but it's still sold. So
this is very interesting how this is happening. This is very interesting how the East is migrating. Sorry, how the West is migrating to the East. And 150 years ago, it was wagons west.
Exactly.
So we're seeing the remigration patterns of people moving from because everyone's bought out.
Everybody's bought out.
I know you're on a quest to buy a place. Have you found anything that's reasonable?
Out here, the only place that we'd be able to look into even starting out would be Southern California.
Okay.
And even that's freaking insane. But there are little pockets here and there where you can get a fixer-upper. Maybe put a 30-year, how we do it in the USA is 30-year fixed or 15, but do a 30. We have good credit scores. We have some cash savings.
Yeah.
Other than that, in the Silicon Valley, it's just fucking ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Excuse my language. It's just ridiculous, though.
So do you see anything easy? So you said there's a lot of people, they're all foreign people. Where are they from again? You said
there's a lot of Indian people right now, and then Chinese, they came in a lot. And there was a video I did watch, and I showed my mom, and I was like, look at the freaking way that they do it. It's very smart, and it's very simple. Mm-hmm. The family sticks together. The family helps each other out with mm-hmm. the down payments. I can imagine realtors taking over whole neighborhoods. I've seen it happen,
Wow, they're taking out entire neighborhoods. They're taking over.
My mom's neighborhood is like 75%. So it happens, it is what it is. It's a free market out here. And it's crazy. When you're on the other side, like how I am, it's like, oh snap, I better realize what's going on. But if you're on their side, it's like free picking. It's like, oh, look at this. That's why like the houses used to be $200,000 mm-hmm. and they all got bought up. And then now all the big companies are here. So they're just sitting on gold mines until something happens.
Yeah. Because what happened was Washington State has cut back on selling to foreign investors. You know what they did in Washington State? They made people declare where the money came from and had to prove it.
Yeah,
that's it. No money coming in from China into Washington State because by law they need to declare where the money came from and have to prove it. And then overnight, like a light switch, click, everyone stopped coming because of that.
Wow.
Just declaring where you got your money from.
Yep. It's like the proof. Show us the proof. And, it sucks because I know the USA wants to, and what city doesn't want big money and their real estate to go up?
But the thing is, it's a generational thing that there's in Canada, not in the U.S., because in the U.S. you have options to move to bigger cities, right, or other cities or smaller cities, and there's lots of options, right? But in Canada, we only have 4 really major cities, and the problem is an entire generation, like my generation, is completely bought out, And I think that the millennials before me are completely bought out, and I think my children are completely bought out.
That's where I feel bad, because your kids, the way it looks right now, are going to be bought out. But you never know. Something can change.
Either they start building up new cities, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I am very scared. Well, so when you get some time, maybe do some drive arounds. I know you did a video for us on your channel, Demise Music and Entertainment. You did that
homelessness.
The homelessness thing was really serious, man. That was some.
Bad. Yeah, it's really bad. Here, I want to say this too. Like, also at the same time, the fact that the people that have bought homes in the early 90s that are holding on to it, they can sell for 1.5 million and they're set. So like you were saying, like everyone that is my age, a little older and now younger, if nothing drastic happens, we are bought out of where we are at now. And then the only thing we could do is get out of town, find somewhere else. You know, and it's very unfortunate, but we've been since the dawn of mankind, even animals, we've been adapting, we've been moving. So I'm starting to get more
philosophical,
more philosophical, and that's also fine. a little more brave. Like, hey, I'm from one of the hottest markets out here, like Toronto, San Jose, California, Los Angeles, New York. It's only going to make me stronger if I keep my head in the game.
Well, I got your channel open here, guys. I left a link in the comments for everyone to go and subscribe. Demise Music, Demise Media. He's got 1,121 subs. Let's get him up to 5,000. He's got all kinds of cool stuff on his channel. He's got a lot of vlogs he does, and a lot of stand-up. He does a lot of stand-up comedy. So, guys, yeah, I left the link in my chat there for people to go over and.
Oh yeah, Mike, thank you again for commenting on that video where I was kind of venting about things, you know. So I appreciate that. Buddy, I gotta go because I'm gonna get ready to do tonight's stand-up.
Okay, well, are you gonna upload it tonight when you get home or tomorrow?
Usually I do it in the mornings.
Okay, upload it for us. I'll watch it tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I usually do those Wednesday nights, and then Thursday morning I edit it before I go to work.
Okay. All right. Hasta la vista.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
We'll talk again when what's the next time we can talk?
Mike in the night, Saturday nights.
Okay, Saturday night I might be able to do that.
Okay, brother. We'll talk soon.
Okay. All right, brother. Peace. Ciao. Thank you. Later.
So that's Demise Music and Entertainment, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to his channel. He's talking about housing here sometimes. He talks about everything in his channel. Don't let your past affect your you now inspiration. Podcast, influential, girlfriend and I eating Vietnamese food, Chinese taking over America, and tech jobs, stand-up comedy. Look at this, man.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Amanda, thank you so much for a wonderful night. It's Monday. I don't know why everybody's here getting fucking drunk with me.
Well, there's a bit of swearing there, so I got to be careful here on the show. But don't forget to subscribe to him, please. It is Demise Media. I'll leave another link in the comments below, in the live comment section, for you guys to go over and subscribe, please. Our channels only get support from other channels like this. We got nowhere. I hope he could get something going on his channel with Skype so I could be on his channel. And so Anon says might get auto flag. No, but that was audio over audio, and I was talking over it too, so kind of fuzzy audio. So no worries. We are a very PG channel. Sometimes the language does get out of control, but sometimes we can't. Yeah. So let's go back to where I was. So I was right on the money when I read this Reno Gazette Journal. His dad just bought there last week, and boom, left California. Finally got to own his place. Look at Cisco paying all these wages out to people. $50 an hour for a senior developer, $148,000 per year for a technical engineer. Wow. Okay, let's move on. The families who took on housing giant. So this is happening in the UK. I think it was 7 families group. Yeah, it took 7 families 2 years, but the group of homeowners in Scotland has taken out housing giant in order to have their crumbling new building homes repaired. So there's a lot of problems going with these when you have these big builders that are not going back and fixing work, and a lot of them are fighting back. A lot of people. London housing market shows early signs of life. UBS saying. London is doing a lot of advertising right now in Chinese markets to bring over more wealthy investors. It is a big market right now, and the biggest market that a lot of countries are competing for are for wealthy investors. Brexit impasses continues to challenge London housing market. That's a pile of crap. Affordability levels and the mass exodus of people leaving from London is the problem. Brexit continues to impact North's housing market, says new report. Again, everybody is blaming the uncertainty of Brexit on the housing failures, but Australia isn't. I mean, is Australia getting affected by Brexit? Is Canada getting affected? Is the United States being affected by Brexit? So what's so special about the UK housing? What's so special about the housing in England that it's only Brexit that's affecting it? You don't think there's unaffordability levels right now? Give me a break. Ireland's housing crisis in numbers. Oh no.
A regular freezing. Then get the price of a cup of tea. Get that into me and it should warm me up.
Yeah, 10,000 homeless people in Ireland, people.
Focus Ireland at 1 o'clock.
It's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. I'm only 25, and I'm after doing this. I'm homeless the last 7 years,
Ireland has one of the lowest levels of homelessness. Obviously, homelessness and the number of people in emergency accommodation has increased in the last number of years. But by international standards, homelessness in Ireland is low.
Housing activity indicators continue to show encouraging trends. Planning permissions was granted for almost 20,800 new homes in 2017, an annual increase of 27%.
Why are these people not counted in your figures? They're homeless. They have no stable accommodation. Their lives are in crisis.
I'm on a waiting list for a hub. That waiting list doesn't seem to be getting any smaller. I've been on a waiting list for the last year.
We were there for 10 years, and the landlord says to us that he was selling the property. So more or less we had to go.
The landlord called over to my house this morning, and this is my notice of eviction here, and they're kicking us out over Christmas.
You talk about us being in government for 8 years, but in 2012 house prices were still falling. In 2014 we came out of the bailout and people thought we would need a second one. What we did do from 2014 though is focus on some of the low-hanging fruit, which was council vacancy, council voids, and bringing thousands of those back into use, which has been very important.
He said, we don't really deal with people like you. And I said, well, I need to be declared homeless, I said.
Joe, how are you, Owen? How are you?
So guys, we know this. You've been watching this channel for a while. It's not affordable housing, it's better paying jobs. I'm pretty sure if there was a Cisco company there in Ireland and they were paying those wages out, it'd be a completely different story. I think better paying jobs, I think not the government, but I think the private sector, if any country would make it, back in the day, a lot of countries would make their countries more attractive to investors to come in and buy companies and expand in the infrastructure for companies and help fund the public sector. Now, they're just battling over rich investors, to who gets the richest investors to come in and help fund their causes. Now they just print money out now. Instead of taxing somebody's wage, they need something, they just print the money off. Imagine how nice that would be. You get an unexpected bill at the door and you're like, oh, I'm just going to print some money off and send it to them. You can't do that. The government can. Again, more Brexit crap. Brexit remains a drag on Scottish housing markets, research warns. Nobody talks about affordability levels. No one talks about the auction, the housing auctions that they have there. People auctioning off homes, and they don't talk about how Scotland has never seen auctioning, and now they're seeing auctioning in homes now. It's becoming a trend that's going all over the world. Prevention work brings Edinburgh's homelessness figures down by a fifth. So they're working hard in Edinburgh, Scotland, to cut back or to find a place for the homeless. Sorry, I'm just... New York have a congestion price tax now. Bank of America has raised minimum wage to $20 an hour. That's for a low-roll scratcher. Yeah, Brexit is they're just it's one of their thing. The US, well, every country that has a problem, they just blame Trump. It doesn't even matter if it's not affected by the US. It's Trump's fault. And for the UK, it's Brexit. And I've already read a few articles in Australia, and I've read a few of them from the New Zealand, and heck, even here in Canada, where Donald Trump is doing this, and it's reverberating in our housing markets, and it's going down. No, you start blaming your government, start blaming the institutions for doing all this, breaking these crimes, and going against the better judgment and destroying people's lives. Wow, we got a lot of people in the comments right now. Rip off rents, forcing families into poverty, warns Labour. Again, this is in Ireland. There are 50,000 children recorded as falling into the category over the period. So the Scottish government. So 50,000 children right now are homeless. Housing stock. They're blaming supply and demand up there still, even though there's lots of auctions going on and people auctioning off homes. Yep. And last but not least, Australia. But we already went through a lot of these on my channel. House prices set to fall another 10% before 2020 rebound, Moody's analyst says. So that's in Australia, another 10%. So some people are getting a 20% haircut depending where you are. Okay, this is the same thing. I think it's the same article. Moody's Australian house prices to fall further this year. Melbourne is forecasted for 11.4% this year. Sydney prices forecast 9.3%. And house prices to fall 7.7% this year. So a very short article there. House values to fall sharply in Australia, capital cities across the year, says Moody's Analytics. How long can they go? It's probably all music. Yeah. A drop in home loans has prompted more warnings for further falls in housing prices. Sydney and Melbourne have been hit the hardest. They have fallen over 10% in the past 12 months. Prices are projected to fall between 18 and 20% in 2019. Values are expected to balance out into what experts are calling a soft landing. So they're calling it a soft landing. With investors fleeing, first home buyers are back in the mix. It may be a short opportunity. Prices are projected to begin climbing again in 2020 and 2021. So guys, if you're not making $300,000 a year in Australia, get out. That's all I have to say. Now get out. I made videos from 3, 4, 5 years ago. Get out of Sydney. It's going to get bad. And Sydney is a poop hole or a SHI hole. Yeah. Yeah. Get out of Australia then. If that's going to happen, get out. What are you working for? What, you going to work the rest of your life to maintain a house? You don't pay it off. What, you think you're going to pay down a $2 million house? So we got Urban Off-Granny says, rubbish, leaving now. Yeah. The true extent of the house. Hey, you know where a lot of Australians are going? And I've been getting messages and got people on the show? Mexico. There's a couple of people that I've been speaking to that live in Mexico now, and they're asking me, Mike, what state, I'm in this state right now, what state do you recommend for this, for surfing? What state do you recommend for quietness and retirement? What state do you recommend? Because I've been to almost every state in Mexico. I lived there for 2 years. So I could tell you everything, and I can't believe how many Australians are living in Mexico. We had our friend on live from Acapulco. He's living in Acapulco in the state of Guerrero. He left Sydney, and now he's... living in Mexico. He's never been happier. PC Principal saying investors are gone, but prices will rise anyways. Sure. Tony Novell says the average wage in Australia is 50 large if you're lucky. Walking Journey wants to go back to Mexico. I want to go back to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? It's like everyone always doesn't think outside the box. They always think, oh, you're going to Mexico? Oh, it's like, what do you think I'm going to go do if I'm what do you think I did in Mexico for 2 years? Like, give me a break. Like, it's like, oh, you're going to go to Portugal? Ooh. It's like, what the hell? What do you think? People think I'm going to, go there and sell fruit on the streets? Give me a break, man. It's Mike Martins. You got to go there with a powerful, you know what I'm saying? The true extent of house price collapse and what happens next. Again, first-time home buyers were, especially in Australia, weren't getting into the market for at least 2 generations. Australia's been in a bull market since 1975 in their housing. They had a few dips and a few little plunges, but they've always jumped in to either prop rates or extend amortizations, or they went ahead and did all this Mickey Mousing. And that's why the Royal Commission there are these auditors, basically, that are looking at what the banks are doing, and it's really bad. Yeah. Okay, we got Jason Dent. Pre-foreclosures are going up here in Logan, Utah. Remember, Jason, I did those videos for you in Utah, how it's getting out of control, housing's out of control, everybody from California and Oregon and Washington are moving to Utah. I made that video for you, Jason. And look now, he's telling me right now, pre-foreclosures going up here. Jason, add me on Skype, Mike Martins 1980. I want to get you here on the show, if you can, Jason. I would like to have you on the show. So we got people in the comments here. Okay, so it's time to do a little bit of shout-outs here from people watching from abroad and all over the place. Okay, time for shout-out time. Lester in Fall River, Massachusetts. Mike in Manchester, England. Linda B. in Saskatoon. Milt in San Jose. Abdi in Sydney. Maurizio in Fort Lauderdale. Lisa in Christchurch. Ned E. in Cape Town, South Africa. Ricardo in Caracas. And Raul Melendez in Macau that are watching us live, or shout-outs in the show, and Skype shout-outs from people from all over watching trends in the housing market. Jason Dent, I went to an auction today. I will get Skype for you. Yes, get Skype for me, Jason. Add me, Mike Martins 1980. Maybe you could go live to an auction and have your thing stream and say, hey guys, Mike Martins channel. It's Jason Dent reporting for the Mike Martins channel. I am here in Utah, and look at these foreclosures, blah, 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 and these are the auctions that are happening. And just 6 months ago or a year ago, Mike was talking about how there's a mass migration from California moving east, and how it's propped up the market. Now it's bringing down the market. So how do you even buy your first home? Guys, if you're a first-time buyer, I recommend to strongly research what it is you need to know when buying a house. Do not depend on your broker. Do not depend on your bank. Do not depend on your financial advisor. You start reading material. You start reading charts, you start analyzing, and you start following the market 24/7 if you're in the market to buy. Yeah. That's what I recommend, because it's the most important investment you'll ever make in your life. What else we got going on here? So be careful, especially people in falling cities that are falling. Thousands of people are fleeing Sydney each month as the city becomes unlivable. Australia's regional estate hotspots. Each month, thousands of cash-strapped and disillusioned Sydneysiders are packing up and leaving the city in search of a better way of life. Guys, I'm going to have to plug this. I'm very sorry. You know what? If you want, you can call the police. I don't care. Because I'm plugging this. I am plugging this. If anyone doesn't like it, you go straight to hell. Because here goes. Search my channel. Get out. Get out. Get out of Sydney. Hamworth. Mr. Joyce was responding to yet another report showing homes in Australia's two biggest cities are among the world's least affordable. This is from 3 years ago. Housing crisis, Australia. Get out of Sydney. What, you think I just sit here to look good for you guys? You think I sit here to woo? Yeah, let's get some woos in here. Yeah. So let's go over our top stories here. I'm going to put all our top stories together here. Chinese real estate investors wary of Vancouver headed to Toronto. Chinese investors are looking to make a new Chinese capital of the North. We could cut that one out. We could cut that one out. We could cut that one out. Montreal becoming unaffordable as finding an apartment has become harder. Lots of people investing in foreign investing going up there. So I wanted to throw that out there. And where's my woo? Where are you, woo? There it is. So all Antifa members that are watching us...
You keep your mouth shut, fat boy.
Once again, Antifa members, message to Antifa members.
You keep your mouth shut, fat boy.
Yeah. This is for Briggs.
Woo!
Yeah, baby. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, people. Yeah. Lots going on. Let's go back to where I was there. Let's go back to my next step here. All right. Okay, let's go over the biggest stories right now. Seattle's housing problem is being fixed because people are leaving the state. Reno County out of control, pricing going out of control. We just had Demise Music and Entertainment on our channel, and he just basically told us his dad bought here. His dad just bought here last week. And this is Washoe County, off the hook. Least affordable cities in, I can't believe Lincoln County in South Dakota is $226,000 for the median average house. That's a lot of money, man, $226,000. Hawaii, living with two roommates in a dump. Hawaii is too expensive for paradise for teachers. And it's not just teachers, nurses, doctors, garbage men, postal workers. It's out of control in Hawaii. Out of control. It reminds me of Auckland. When I read that article to you guys like 2 years ago, saying Auckland 42 people to a house, 42 people to a house, and it's more like a dog kennel. Yeah. So, Steve says, I watch Mike Martins more than CNN. CNN is Clown News Network. I mean, do I look like a clown? Do I amuse you guys? That's from the movie Goodfellas with Joe Pesci. I live in the country in Victoria, Australia, Bendigo, Mike, and it's very affordable, and I'm debt-free with no mortgage and not having to work full-time anymore. That's it. Go stock shelves in an automotive shop. Go to an automotive parts distributor and go stock shelves and be nice and quiet. Go home, punch your card, go take a nap, wake up, go to the hot tub, That's life right there. So USA Today, that's what's happening right now. And this is how much Cisco pays. They need to put a Cisco up in Ireland, and they could get people living there, getting good wage jobs. So that's that. That could go. That's done. Okay, everyone wants to see good old Ricky again. Woo! And Antifa.
You keep your mouth shut, fat boy.
That's the line to Antifa right there. What else we got going on? I got more articles here, guys. Hold on. Nobody panic. So back to Australia and finish off what's going on in Australia. I did a video called Sydney is a SHI hole because it's getting pretty bad. Steve the Plumber's back in the comments. Falling interest rates were the main factor in Sydney's house price surge. So they're saying that there's a house price surge. Sydney property price recovery could be just one of the two cash rate cuts away. That's real possibility based on the latest research of no less than the Reserve Bank of Australia. The research found falling interest rates was a chief catalyst behind the huge surge in prices between 2012 and 2017. Holy crap! Somebody give this guy a trophy. Somebody make a trophy for this guy. The researchers, these guys got to be making $2 million a year, found falling interest rates was the chief catalyst behind the huge surge in prices between 2012 and 2017. Holy Max! These guys are so smart. These guys are so smart. I gotta send these guys money. These guys needed a GoFundMe account. Record low interest rate, artificially low interest rates have created housing bubbles and asset bubbles all over the English-speaking world. How did these guys just figure this out? And these are researchers? I've been talking about this for the last 8 years. Are these guys what? The researchers found falling rates was the chief catalyst. What do you think happens when you lower rates? What do you think is keeping all this crap together? Historically low interest rates. Historically low interest rates is what is keeping this garbage together. The housing, student loans, all this garbage, low interest rate credit cards. Low interest rates is keeping you on life support so you could borrow more from your houses. I got these researchers. I'm gonna have to give these guys. I'm gonna have to give these guys like $500. Researchers found falling interest rates was the chief catalyst behind huge surge in prices from 2012 to 2017. Man, these are some big researchers here. Holy smokes! I don't know how these guys. This is huge news coming from Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, wherever you are in Australia. This is good news. They found out what it was. Yeah, I'm not going to be talking about how much I've been saying the same thing over and over for the last 5 years, but we finally have researchers coming out. But then you have an illiterate like me that's looking at it and saying, yeah, this is not good, guys. I think maybe you need to step back from this. Yeah. Mark Park says, yeah, after a 5-year study. Oh my god, these guys. Oh my god. He's so smart. The model estimates that the reduction in interest rates, actual interest rates less inflation, accounts for most of the bottom-dwelling prices and a large part of the bottom-dwelling investment, said the researchers in a 35-page report. Holy smokes, I don't think I've read 35 pages in my life. I don't think I've read 35 pages in my life, people. This is crazy. Bargain price for a home coated in poo. Okay, guys, I'm gonna exit this article here. I don't know if this is this article from like 10 years. No, there's no way it's from 10 years ago. Well, when is this thing from? It's from last week. What is this from last week? What did they just figure this? What did you think? We're gonna find out? Okay, moving on. New Zealand houses sold for under 150,000 in the past 12 months. So these little trailers are selling everywhere, and they are making tiny homes are making a huge wave in New Zealand. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. Sorry, there's music here. Tiny house could be cheaper than renting a room in Auckland. You can rent to buy like it for between 180 to 290 per week. Guys, watch out for rent to buy crap. Rent to buy is a bunch of garbage. Watch out. Try and see if you can mortgage that. Oh, Mike, but it's only 30 grand. Yeah, mortgage it. Don't rent to buy. Because you're going to say, you know what? You're going to have to pay a pad rent after the days and nice. Buy it and move it away. Someone saying, Urban Off-Green, this was the first video I sure of Mike. They're called dead boxes. And rent to buy scam. Watch out. Condos are always going to be booming. They're the cheapest asset on the market. Here we go. Interest rate. Payments are made weekly at an interest rate of 9.95%. 9.95. That's so if you borrow 100 grand to buy this little thing on wheels, you're paying $10,000 a year in interest. If you borrow 100,000, if this thing's $1 million, you're paying $100,000 a year in interest. So if this is 100,000, let's see what this thing. So 9.95%. Woo! Wow. The company is selling. It hopes it could help people escape the rent trap. But housing experts investing in these tiny houses could be risky. They say it doesn't have the same financial security as land ownership. Okay, I gotta know what the price is for 10 large. 10% interest. For 10% interest, what is the cost of this damn thing? 100 grand. At 10% interest, you're paying $10,000 a year in interest. Okay, $9,500 if you want to get technical. Wow. That's like on $1 million mortgage at 1%. Or 0.5%, sorry. Are you serious? Mark Andre Moses says he's moving to Europe. So there's houses here selling. Look, 60,000. This one sold for 25,000. Apartments sold for how much? So like there is some like here cheapest residential dwellings 40,000, 60, 100, 120. You just gotta really, if you're in New Zealand, you kind of gotta look outside the box when it comes. Don't look at it don't look at a house what it is then or what it is now. Look at it. Take a look at what it's going to look like in the future when you're done with it. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe it. 9.95% interest. You got to be out of your mind. That's okay. Let's move on, man. This whole down under thing is just taking a twist on this thing. Here's our friend Phil Tyford here, the housing minister in New Zealand. Kiwi build recalibration not that far away. Maybe they promised 100,000 new homes by 2025 or 2030 or whatever. And the housing minister here has promised more affordable housing, and they are falling behind. And that is a lot of problems for a lot of people. 21 state houses in Dundee unoccupied. Okay, bud, this is David here. 21 state houses remain unoccupied in the wider Dundee area. They undergo repairs and maintenance as the waiting list continues to climb. So you got to remember, in these cities, especially New Zealand and Australia, there's a lot of foreign ownership, and a lot of homes will remain empty. Like California, 1 in 3 homes are empty, and they're foreign owned. So I wanted to throw this out there. I can't get over this article here. I can't believe this. Researchers found falling interest rates were the chief catalyst. Anytime you adjust interest rates, instead of leaving things on autopilot like you're supposed to, you go ahead and artificially reduce rates, never done in human history, and then expect nothing to come of it? What else we got? I feel like I sleep, guys. I'm going to cut this transmission short tonight. I want to spend some time with the family. So, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please. Need you guys out. I need you guys' support. And if you want to support the transmission, go into my channel and just go ahead and share something for me, guys. Go in there. Look, Aldi, $40 million in cocaine found inside Aldi banana boxes. Look at these losers. Endangered baby dolphin died because of tourists want to take selfies with it. Uber guy. Uber driver returned riders home to rob it. So the guy drops the people off at the airport, knows they're not home, goes back to the house and robs it. Don't forget to check out my yearbook series. It's doing really well. All these different cities with different years and how things were. And I'm compiling this series. It's kind of a non-verbal way of being, I guess, everyone calls some of these videos racist. Especially the Sydney 1955. Everyone's calling that video racist. I already got flagged twice for bullying and hate speech. But there's no talking in it. It's just photos of what Sydney used to look like in 1955. And I'm getting chewed out for this. Even today I'm getting still chewed out for this thing. For this video. Yeah. Very interesting. Steve the Plumber saying Richmond Hill is down closer to 40%. Wait until another spring market hits the bed. Huge price reductions happening right now. Yeah. Steve, you probably missed the beginning of the show, but there's going to be a little bit of a twist. The plot will thicken, my friend. Let me see where it was here. Let me bring this up and read it for Steve. Let's see if it's here. Oh, damn, I closed it. It was the article that was saying that... the article I read that Toronto is going to be the new Chinese capital of the North, with a lot of Chinese investors leaving Vancouver to Toronto to invest in Toronto. I lost the article. I had it up earlier. No, it's not that one. It's not that one. Yeah, I ended up closing it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that's another interesting tidbit of information tonight. So people in Toronto, hold your horses. Steve the Plumber says, "Call me." Yeah, okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. Steve, turn on your Skype.
Who the hell is this?
Yeah, Stevie, what's up, buddy?
What's happening?
Did you catch the show right at the beginning?
No, I didn't. I was delayed.
Okay, well, there was an article I read that's very important. It's actually very crucial to you. Big-time Vancouver investors retail and commercial and housing are leaving Vancouver and going to Toronto.
Yeah, well, you know what? For what it's worth, in terms of real estate, commercial real estate and stuff like that, yeah, absolutely. I welcome it. You want to buy commercial real estate, you want to buy multi-dwellings, so on and so forth, and you're a foreign corporation or an investor of that sort, by all means. However, if that article, I did read a bit of it, and then I got sidetracked. I know the article you're making reference to. I think it was on BNN, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. There's actually a lot of them. This is the BNN one, and there's one on a different site here. There's this one here, and then there was another one I was reading from Chinese real estate investors wary of Vancouver head to Toronto. So they're looking of making a new Asian capital of the North.
Okay, so I mean, if what you're saying is correct, you're making reference to the residential real estate market being affected by this?
Everything. Because of the red tape in BC, if you read the article, there's so much red tape in BC for homeowners and so much for red tape for all kinds of different angles in BC that a lot of the foreign investors have had enough, and a lot of them are now investing in Toronto. Everything. Okay, commercial, residential, retail, everything.
And you know what? That's totally fine. But I'm just going to put this out there. Do you actually think that Toronto is going to allow Toronto to become like Vancouver?
Well, Vancouver became like Vancouver, and no one expected it to be like that.
I understand that. But at the same point in time, Vancouver, now it's basically a poop show out there. Mm-hmm. And there's no way Toronto officials are going to allow Toronto to get as crazy as Vancouver was. We put in the foreign buyer tax, so on and so forth. The moment all that money starts coming into Toronto in droves and the market starts to go crazy again, they're going to go ahead and they already have the platform to kill it. They're not going to allow Toronto to be so, disproportionate to what it can actually sustain. Yeah, we want investment in terms of commercial real estate, stuff like that. Hey, all the power to you. But in terms of residential, there's just no way. Not to mention, we also have to remember that Chinese capital outflows as of January 1st are heavily, heavily restricted. Mm-hmm. I believe you also told me that on or about August 1st, 2019, they are going to further restrict the capital flow coming into Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. Washington State's the smartest in all of this problem. Can I tell you, I told you this, but I'll say it again. Washington State is so smart. Instead of imposing a foreign buyer's tax, instead of imposing a vacant home tax, instead of anything, now you must declare your money and where it's coming from and how you earned it and how much are you going to buy in the state of Washington. Ever since they passed that law, which should have been in place at the airport when someone's bringing a suitcase with $2 million, that should have been in place a long time ago. But now that they passed that law early at the end of last year, no more capital flows coming into Washington State after you have to declare your money.
Yeah, there's no way, okay, that the Ford government is going to allow actual, people in terms of Mr. and Mrs. Smith to be bulldozed by foreign investment, and houses are just going to be, remain empty. He will step in. The mayor of Toronto will have to step in. He will have to put in an empty home tax, an empty home tax. He will have to do basically a carbon copy of what Vancouver did. We had to do it with respect to the foreign buyer tax.
Well, the mass exodus of people that left Vancouver is actually phenomenal. I don't know why they want to keep this under wraps, Steve, just like the housing crisis. They want to keep everything under wraps. But there's rumored right now, this is what I've been hearing through the grapevine, through sources in not real estate, but people that work in, let's say, the media. They're not allowed to actually do this because they could lose their jobs. But do you know that 411,000 white people have left Vancouver since 2012 because of the housing price issue, and 33,000 Aboriginal people have left Vancouver because of the housing pricing issue?
I wholeheartedly, absolutely believe that, and I think that's probably a conservative number.
Because we read the Douglas Todd one for the 1 year, and it said like 12 or 16,000. But going into deeper StatsCan reports, you start finding out how many Caucasian people have left Vancouver. It's phenomenal. Since 2012, Steve, it's almost 400,000. I'm like, that's got to be wrong. Maybe 90,000, maybe 100, but 400, yeah. When you come to my town, it's all young families. It's all young families here that left the coast. My block only has one person living on it now, that hasn't been bought off by a person from the coast.
Oh, really?
Yep. All down the street, the next block, it's all people from the coast. All the houses that are being built, all the framework you see around town when you're driving around, all the building frame, the framing of new houses, everybody's from the coast or from like Kamloops because it got too expensive up there, and everybody was getting bought out there. And Kelowna, everyone was getting bought out in Kelowna.
Well, I mean, at this point, I have no reason not to believe you, Mike. It's a gong show over there, and you know what? Toronto's already way too expensive, and they're seeing people leave the city.
Come on, Steve. You don't want to save up for 25 years to put a down payment on a house?
Well, I mean, Mike, you have Kevin Thompson. I've already been saving for 20 years. What the hell's an extra 5 years?
Yeah.
So there's no way that they're going to allow that. Toronto right now, and Moby can probably confirm this in terms of numbers and whatnot. They are in a hell of a lot of trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if they implement the empty home sale, the empty home sales tax, in the next 3 to 6 months, because there is a lot of empty homes in Toronto, and they need that revenue. They need it really bad, simply due to the fact that the actual transactions are down. They're not getting that land transfer tax. Because in Toronto, especially for people that don't know this, Toronto has, a part 2 of the land transfer tax for the purposes of a municipal land transfer tax that goes straight as revenue to the city of Toronto.
Yep. So I brought this up with Moby. I brought this up with you. I'm covering this. We've been covering this. I've been covering this in every English-speaking country. We're seeing the pattern happening in every English-speaking country. That's a free market. That come in, park your money, and competing for more and more investors. So I'll bring up the article so you guys don't think I'm picking on anybody here, but this is the truth. And this is a big deal. And this article is from 2016. Canada wants more Chinese workers, students, says immigration minister. And right now, the visa in 2016 allocation was 500,000 Chinese per year, and they're pushing it, Steve, now to 690,000, and hoping by 2025 to have it in and around 1 million per year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what's going to happen to Canada? What happens to what it means to be Canada? And that's what somebody that visited me today, that watches my channel from Victoria, British Columbia, the island. She was driving through and she says, I got to go meet Mike Martins. Young lady, she's a nurse. She talked to me for about 2 hours, and she's really concerned of where things are headed right now. And she's now thinking of moving stateside.
Yeah, I don't blame her. I absolutely don't blame her one bit.
So, Steve, who are we going to replace us when we leave? When eventually we're going to get to a point where we're just going to migrate somewhere else or immigrate somewhere else. But Steve, how are we going to be I guess, how does it work? Are we in this cycle right now in human migration patterns? Steve, do you think we're in a cycle right now where people are just going to be starting moving around the world and we're just going to have to pick up and leave? Like, what do you think is going to happen, Steve?
Very good question. I think as we figure out where house prices are going, from a local aspect of it, let's just say Toronto and the greater Toronto area. As we said before in this conversation and previous conversations, we're having a mass exit from Toronto of the under 40 crowd. Everybody's leaving Toronto because they just can't afford it. The stress test is doing exactly what it's designed to do, and it's not only having the appropriate effect on sales volumes, it's also forcing house prices to come down. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these $1.2 million homes and above, especially in Vaughan, York region, King City, Aurora, Richmond Hill, Markham, you're seeing a lot of these houses just sit on the market and sit and sit and sit because nobody can qualify for them. They just can't.
Well, if you can't secure financing, you can't make the sale. And with first-time home buyers not entering the market with fresh blood, it's over.
Well, think about it, Mike. A $1.2 million home, okay, 20% down. Let's just for simple math, you got 200 grand down, okay? You really need 240, but for simple math, it's 200 grand, and you got to have $1 million mortgage, okay, or $960,000 mortgage. So we'll just use it as $1 million benchmark. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the combined household income has to make $250,000.
That's just to maintain the mortgage. That's not pay it off.
That's right. That is just to keep your head above water. I don't know too many households that make $250 large.
Yeah,
I don't.
I know.
So, and CMHC is you're capped at $1 million.
Yeah, Dumb Dada just said that right now in the comments. We should get him on the show too.
Yeah, he's actually from Vaughan, and he's actually experiencing exactly what I've said. He said it tonight in the comment section. Richmond Hill is down 35%. I personally believe it's closer to 40. And Markham is the same thing. Vaughan is down a good 30% from the peak, and houses are just sitting. They are just sitting. As soon as you get over that 1.2 mark, they're not moving. They are absolutely not moving. And there's a reason for that, in addition to, that people not making $250,000 as a combined household income. In addition to that, the people that actually have the money already own those houses.
Yeah.
Are already over 55.
So, okay, Steve, but what about the first-time buyers?
They're irrelevant.
I know. I know, Steve. I'm just pushing you a bit here. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally cool, but I mean, you get what I'm saying, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
We're seeing a mass exit exit out of the Greater Toronto area. You should see what's happening right now in Brantford, Caledonia, Stony Creek. There are people that were spending $2,000, $2,500 a month on rent.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone out there and they've bought in a house, and they have $200 and $300 additional in their pocket because they've bought in houses, and their mortgage is $200 and $300 less than what they were renting.
Yeah,
and they basically just given up. I'll commute. I'll do something. I need to own something. I can't keep renting because at the end of the day, all my money is going to rent. And, they're renting stuff that's probably going to sustain for a considerable amount of time because they're renting $500,000-$600,000 condos.
I got a Skype message here from Sunny. Sunny Lee is saying, hey, Mike. He's there's a few spelling errors. I think he's using Google Translate. Hey, Mike, watching show. I like your show. Good advice. Asian people of Asian culture in Canada don't like too much Asian coming into Canada. So there's people that are of Asian culture in Canada that have told me that they don't like so many people coming over because it's going to ruin the way of... Do you think it will ruin the way of life, Steve, if more and more people come in and we can't... What happens to us? That's the problem.
Well, you're definitely changing the footprint from a society standpoint.
That's what I'm saying. Because some people in the culture themselves don't even like this. Like, for example, let's say this, Steve, for example. I'm here in BC, and all these Portuguese people start coming in here from Brazil and Portugal. And more come in, and more come in, and more come in. And then I go outside, everyone's speaking Portuguese. I go down to the dock, everybody's speaking Portuguese. I go shopping, everybody's speaking Portuguese. And it's like, what the hell? I'm in Canada. It would bother me. Even though I'm a Portuguese, it would piss me off. I would want to get out of there. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I absolutely agree. But I mean, I don't want to get, throw religion into the mix. But if you take the Roman Catholic Church, there are Portuguese churches, there are Polish churches, there is Italian churches,
right?
There's Croatian churches. They basically migrate on, their day of worship. They all get together and they speak their own language.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't work in the workplace. You must speak, English or French. End of story.
But there was one. Did I tell you about the ambulance driver that came by my store?
No, you did not.
Well, he quit his job a few months back because there's a severe language barrier.
Yeah, I guess that actually could be, quite liable if you can't communicate with a person in need. I understand. Go ahead.
That's what happened. He quit his job because they were cutting his hours because he didn't speak Chinese or Cantonese.
Really?
Yeah. So he's working on getting an HB1 visa. He said he's going to move to Minnesota. He's got a brother out there, so he's going to work there in the ambulance service in Minnesota.
Great.
Yeah. So, I mean,
if you take weather, why not?
Sure, why not? He'll make less money, but he'll save more money because he's paying less tax.
Oh yeah, and the cost of living out there is a lot cheaper.
Oh, he could buy a house for 150 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, someone says, Mike, you need to mention the Canadian dollar devaluation. Yeah, we're devaluating our dollar by printing more. Back in the day, they would create more private sector jobs and tax us at our work tax our labor. Now the government's got smart and said, let's not create more jobs. Let's just print off money to pay off our debt.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. There was a great episode with Steve Eisman on BNN. And he basically went ahead and broke down the actual bank's situation in terms of stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of their loan loss provisions. Did you see that?
No, you're gonna have to send me the link later.
Oh, just go on BNN. It's like one of their top stories today.
Let me go to BNN. What's the story?
Canadian banks are ill prepared. Steve Eisman, he's basically the main character in the Big Short movie, based on a true story.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for here. BMO headquarters, Toronto naming sales steady. No, Vancouver home sales shrink. Wow. I don't see it here, Steve. Well,
go to finance.
Finance. Where the hell do you see marijuana news, opinion, advisor, politics, Bitcoin? Where the hell is finance? Am I blind? Oh, here.
In the tab.
Politics, investing. Oh, finance right here. TSFAs, tax, personal investor, talking tax, personal investor, 3 ways to make tax season. Anyways, tell us about it. I'm not seeing it here.
Oh, go to investing. My apologies. Investing.
Okay. Canadian bank CEOs extremely ill-prepared for credit cycle and Big Shorts. Eisman. Let's see this video. There's a video here. Hold on. Let's see what this guy has to say. This is 19 minutes long. This girl's gorgeous. Let's watch this.
By betting billions against the U.S. housing market prior to the 2008 financial crisis, is now betting against Canada's banks. Steve Eisman, portfolio manager at Neuberger Berman, joins us now from New York. Steve, good to be with you. Thank you very much for your time to go through your thesis here. What exactly, Steve, are you calling for to happen here in Canada to make your call betting against Canada's banks correct?
Well, I want to start out by saying this is not the Big Short Canada. I don't think the housing market in Canada is going to collapse. I don't think Canada is going to fall into the ocean. What I'm simply calling for is a normalization of credit losses, which Canada hasn't seen in over 20 years. And I think the banks, in terms of their reserves and their balance sheets.
Steve, you there? Steve?
I am.
Okay, but normalization in credit. But anyone that took out credit or bought or did anything investment-wise and is paying interest and that bought within the last 8 years, they're totally hooped. What's he talking about?
Well, if you continue on, you'll see what he's talking about.
Okay, because in the last 8 years, even if there's a normalization, a lot of people are going to be underwater.
It's a woefully unprepared
This is the whole thing.
Okay, so
this
let's
is
start
the
with
situation.
Mm-hmm.
They're not provisioning for what exactly is we're at the end of the cycle, and I've talked about this before, and perhaps I don't articulate it as well as Steve Eisman does, but the guy's no dummy. He bet against the U.S. economy.
Yeah. I remember that. I read that article, and he bet against a couple of other things. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's a brilliant mind, and the fact that they brought him on there and he's saying all this stuff, and he didn't want to comment on the state and condition of the housing market, but he does in the video a bit. Are we going to see an 08 style pancake collapse? No. Are we going to see house prices go back 10 years? Possibly, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the normalization of credit virtually means the bank, in terms of their loan losses, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, they don't add up. They're not doing what they should be doing. They know they have shit and garbage on their books, but they're pumping along here. But yeah, if you let the video play out, at least just a part 1, it'll give you a firm understanding of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll watch this later. It's 20 minutes. I'll definitely watch this later this evening when I go upstairs. But no, but I'm thinking I know what he's talking about. The normalization's coming. Things are going to get back on track. Things are going to start stabilizing. Fine. But the people that bought in the last 8 years are completely screwed. If they bought it, if they didn't put a big enough down payment in the last 8, you know what I mean, right, Steve? So,
well, it's their down payment, and it's also their capacity to repay, and also, there's 2 other interesting points on that. Capacity to repay is one. Their downstroke or their down payment is another. But the 2 other, big fundamentals are: what did they do with their debt? Did they aggressively pay it down,
or did they get a HELOC?
Did they get a HELOC? That's the other interesting thing. And right now, as we see these ethereal gains or these fake gains start to evaporate, and house prices continue to decline, all of a sudden, the bank has lent all this money on the basis of a promised economy, and house prices continuing to go up and up and up, or eventually go up and then just flatline and sustain, which never in the history of real estate have house prices just flatline and sustain. House prices always go up or they go down.
Well, because but our economy is not set to autopilot. Back in the day, we would set our economies to autopilot and we'd adjust rates seasonably, but we wouldn't go to historic lows like we did for the longest time. And this artificially propped up asset prices right around the English-speaking world.
Agreed. Absolutely. But now we're starting to see exactly what's going on. I don't even want to tell you the increase in home repossessions right now. I won't even go there because no one will believe me.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. So, I mean, right now you can just go on realtor.ca and you'll see a sea of red, and multiple people, they were told by organized real estate, oh, wait till the spring market, don't list, wait till the spring market, prices will come back, it'll be a very active market, so on and so forth. Al Sinclair goes on CP2 for hot property. oh, business as usual. We're expecting to be busy, this and that and everything else. You talk to any other realtor, it's dead. It's absolutely dead. And price reduction is now starting to happen. I could send you 20 listings that I have saved on my home computer.
All right, I'm looking here. I'm in the Toronto area on MLS, and I'm looking here. And wow, there's a lot of apartments going for quite a bit of money, actually. Like zero bedrooms going for $459. Did you hear Demise Music and Entertainment on the show from California earlier?
I did, yeah.
$2,400 for a 1-bedroom rent, US dollars.
Yeah. What do you think Toronto is?
I don't think it's $2,400 for a 1-bedroom.
My buddy's paying $2,450 for 1 bedroom plus the den.
Holy crap! Is that den like a casino or something?
No, I call it the nook. It's a little indentation in the wall.
Wow, that's scary, Steve. That's scary. Are you going to be on? You want to come on the show on Mike and the Night on Saturday? Because we're going to have 5-minute call-ins. Everyone's going to call in with predictions where they see things headed in the next 5 years. It doesn't necessarily need to be housing. It doesn't have to be finance. It could be biblical. It could be astronomical. It could be anything where people see things happening in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I'll call in for sure.
So everybody prepare yourselves for Mike and the Night next Saturday. I want everyone. I want Moby. I want Raven. I want Bamboo. I want Lord Humongous. I want Rainier. I want everybody on the show next Saturday, Mike in the Night. I know it's late for you guys in the East Coast, but I want to know where you see or what you see happening in the next 5 years. Predictions. Next week on Mike in the Night, it's predictions night, and everyone's going to be predicting where housing is going to go, where they think education is headed, healthcare, pharmaceutical. I don't care. Whatever's on your mind, I want you on Mike in the Night, and I want to know your thoughts and your feelings on where you see things happening in the next 5 years. Oh yeah, and Steve asked from Australia. Supreme Cannon is up for it too. Everybody's up for it. Everybody's up for this next week, Steve. So we're going to get a lot of calls into the show, and we're going to get predictions from people and where they see the next 5 years headed. So I look forward to hearing from you, Steve, this Saturday, sorry.
Let's do it. So good to be with you this evening, Mike. Take care. We'll talk real soon.
All right. God bless you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
That's my man, Stevie. Anyways, guys, I am going to sleep. Actually, I got a ton of stuff I need to pack, to be honest with you. We're going to get Charlie Brown on the show next week. I need to know what's going on his end. And, okay, so Charlie Brown did a survival chart for us. I'm going to see if I could save this to my desktop for you guys. And I could put this... it's a $250 survival kit. Let's see if it's on my desktop here somewhere. And there it is. He just put this together. $250 Go Survival Setup. So we were talking about survival: tent, rope, sleeping bag, pillow, foam, rolling mat, water bottle, water purifier, billy cup. So everything's here that you need for under $250. So I'm going to put this up on the channel so you guys can see it. And yeah, everybody, I need Gary Medeiros, Belinda. I need everybody to come on next week. We need to know your predictions for the next 5 years and where you see headed, whether it's biblical, whether it's economic, whether it's... I don't care what's happening in the next 5 years. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you want to support this transmission, please share one of my videos, because they're trying to shadow ban me with all their might and power here on YouTube. I'm trying to be as vanilla as possible, and I'm trying to get, being as nice and cordial as possible. So interesting stuff. I need you on the show too. Dow 40,000 in the next 5 years. So anyways, thanks for watching.